Okay, looks like we're live on the Facebook pages. I'm just waiting on YouTube. All right. Looks like we're live on YouTube now. So we got this is a cool show. It was a great show this morning with Amani Najee. And we've got a beloved sister on now by the name of Michelle Anderson that I've been aware of since about 2014. And I'm amazed that we never connected, but we connected through we have a lot of common friends, and particularly Scott Ware. And so here we are. I reached out to her, she reached out to me, and we've been this collaboration has been a long time coming. I'm going to go ahead and play the intro and allow people a little more time to come in, and then we'll get started. We'll get her up here. Looking forward to this. Let's see. How's it going, everybody? We got Michelle Anderson in the house. Beloved sister's been out there doing this work for many, many years. I don't know a whole lot about her, except for I've seen her out there in the community for a long, long time, probably longer than most anyone else I've been aware of. So I'm excited to get her up here. Let's get her up here now. There she is. Here we go. There you go. Michelle.
Okay. Now we're cooking with gas.
what's happening, Michelle Anderson? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, Todd Medina in the house finally.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
It has. It has. You've been watching me, I've been watching you, and it feels like the right time to connect.
Yeah, I remember seeing you. I'm going way back. It's got to be 2014. You've been out there a while, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think when I really started getting active was about 2008 or 2009.
Wow. Yeah, because you seemed pretty well established. I mean, I came off the streets in 2013. I got a laptop in late 2013, and I didn't even know what a light worker was. I just knew what I was going through. But I remember seeing you a lot. I remember seeing your face a lot, and you were always doing. I think you've been doing radio for a podcast, that type of thing, for quite a while, haven't you?
Almost 8 years with Eric Rankin. Didn't you just have him on the show?
Who was it?
Sonic Geometry, Eric Rankin.
Oh, Eric. I've had Eric on twice. I love Eric. Him and Jin. Yeah, we actually when we came over from Kauai, where we thought we were going to live happily ever after, and the universe said, "Hey, get out of bed, go sell your stuff, and get to the mainland." We were they were kind enough, Eric, to they were gone for the weekend, so they let us use his apartment at Laguna Beach for 3 nights, which was very cool. Yeah, it was nice soft landing into the mainland before
He
all the other stuff started.
he's such a great guy, and
Yes.
he has a powerful message with his sonic geometry
Yeah.
information that's coming through.
Yes.
And we've been doing Awakening Code Radio together for almost 8 years. I wasn't a full partner with him in the beginning, and it just evolved into that. Um, Frequent guest turned co-host turned part-time host.
Mm.
And it's been a journey. I think we're all just going through our journeys right now. And it feels like this is the culmination point. We're having a major reset, reboot, and you're seeing so many people having this awakening process, this awakening moment.
Mm.
And it feels really good to see what's happening with people unifying, big groups collaborating, and that's happening right now. Are you aware of what's happening right now with World Unity Week?
Yeah, we're actually going to be part of it. I think it's Friday night, 8 p.m. Central. We're going to be, Kathy Mason brought us to the party. So
Okay.
Morgan and I are going to do, I think, an hour and a half on Friday. Yeah, we're part of it. Yeah, it's pretty interesting initiative, collaboration there. There's quite a few people involved.
And what's happening is we're seeing, for years and years, I've been really feeling it's time for us to consciously collaborate without competition.
Yes.
Not make it about greed or power or fame, but actually about the survival of our species. Yeah. And realizing that we're one human family. We're all citizens of Earth, and that levels the playing field. We become more unified when we realize that there's no hierarchy, and there probably never should have been hierarchy, but we're just now figuring that out.
Yeah.
So World Unity Week this week is really powerful. I know tomorrow's Water Wednesday, and they're having a lot of groups coming together to unify, different religious groups. United Religions Initiative is part of it. The Parliament of World Religions is part of it. My good friend, Chief Phil Lane, and his Four Worlds International is part of it. And I don't know, have you ever met May Peace Prevail on Earth? Have you ever met Fumi John Stewart yet?
No.
So she's a woman that's brought this beautiful movement with all the flags from around the world, all the different countries around the world. And it's a very powerful invocation and ceremony, seeing people holding all of the flags from all around the world, no matter where you're from. You don't even have to have a tie to that land. And doing kind of a dance and talking about may peace prevail on earth. So she's a part of it, Fumi John Stewart, and the Compassion Games. A lot of these people are friends of mine. Arvo Looking Horse, and you're aware of Arvo Looking Horse?
You just said, is he out of Sedona?
No.
I've seen him around, but I'm not sure who that is. Yeah.
So Chief Arvo Looking Horse is the keeper of White Buffalo Calf Woman's Pipe.
Oh, that's where I've seen him. I've watched that video. I've probably watched that video where he's the one that talks about Great White Buffalo Woman, right? Mm-hmm. And that I've watched that. I don't know what it is about that video, but it just moves me,
Yeah, it does, because we're remembering, and this is the great remembering that's happening, and this is the time of all the prophecies. So Chief Arvo Looking Horse normally does Sundance this time of year, and I don't think he was able to do Sundance on the land there. So he brought together all these different groups with Unify, and I think it's on Unify's platform.
Is he the one who's the one that initiated this Unity Week?
I think Chief Arvo Looking Horse. Yeah. Wow. And so they just finished a big ceremony in Wyoming, and they call this place, it's Bear Lodge. A lot of non-Indigenous know it as Devil's Tower, but that is not its proper name. So there was a big gathering there this past weekend for the summer solstice. And a dear friend of mine, Mark Sims, who is organizing the Harmonic Convergence of 2020. Harmonic Convergence of 2020 is happening July 5th through the 14th. And Mark Sims Arva Looking Horse actually married Mark Sims and his wife, Brenda. And so it's like one movement building onto the next. And I see it as a peace train. It's, intergalactic peace ambassadors uniting together for the greater good for all. So we're going from this week of World Unity Week into 10 days of harmonic convergence of 2020.
Yeah.
And it's time. It's time. I'm having Mark Sims on our Awakening Code radio show tomorrow to talk all about harmonic convergence 2020.
Far out. And then it's being let in with that third and final eclipse. Right? Isn't it
exactly.
Like the 5th or the 6th?
Exactly. All these planetary alignments, they're no joke.
No.
They're no joke.
I'm getting chills. I've been getting chills a lot since we ramped back up. I took 3 weeks off for the first time in about 18 months, and we moved to Arkansas over here on the crystal bed. And but these shows have been the energy of the shows have been just phenomenal. They've just been like, I'm lit up the whole time.
See this crystal?
Yeah.
I dug this crystal at the hot springs in Arkansas. Right on. With my own hands. And a lot of people don't even realize that Arkansas is loaded with crystals, and it's the hot spot.
There's something going on here. I don't know what it is. In 2016, I left Houston and decided to give this a shot, and the first place I came was here. And it wasn't planned, but I came to Northwest Arkansas, Fort Smith area. And then a year later, Morgan came, and we didn't intend to come here, and we ended up here. And then we ended up here again, and then we ended up coming here. But somebody sent us a page out of the Book of Enoch where it shows I think it's a dove. It's a dove. And the heart is in Arkansas. And then somebody that actually lives here that reached out to me. We were in Northern California. We went from Southern California to Northern California, stayed in a cabin. And the day we were leaving to head to Fort Smith, Arkansas, through Sedona, I get this message from this lady from Fort Smith, Arkansas. No one knows we're coming here. And she goes, "Hey, I've got this RV. I'd like to gift it to you guys for a month. I know you're going to Florida to do a conference. And by the way, I live in Fort Smith, Arkansas." So and then we had another friend who's kind of the business end of the triad over here, who just, her and Morgan are launching Morgan's website. I guess it got launched like 2 days ago. There's like 500 people waiting to do sessions and classes. So it's pretty phenomenal. But she moved here from Kansas City. But this lady that rented, or that we ended up renting it for a few months after that, the RV, she just went on a trip and she found this book about Arkansas, and I can't remember the name of it, but it evidently has some old references back to the biblical periods and biblical writings in regard to the Ark of the Covenant being moved to Arkansas by some clan or something. I don't know, but there's something happening over here. It's to me, having been to Sedona, been to Shasta, been to Kauai, been down there in the Atlantis area, the Florida, Southern Florida. There's something very powerful and kind of under the radar here.
It's getting ready to blossom. I was just on the phone this morning with Heather Powers. I know the Powers of Love, Jason and Heather. And it was her birthday yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And I was telling her that I feel a lot of people that we call light workers or star seeds or bringers of the light. A lot of people landed in Los Angeles, the city of angels. And there, for the last 10 or 20 years, I've been meeting a lot of people that are having poignant awakening experiences and sharing them and gathering here. We have a lot of stuff going on in Southern California in terms of Contact in the Desert and Conscious Life Expo. And a lot of people from all over the world come to Southern California. Yeah. but I've been really feeling that Arkansas has been doing a divine dance of weaving these energies. And so now it feels like the energies are ready to move that way, and to really amp up utilizing the crystal energy that's there, because crystals actually energize our thoughts and what feelings we're putting out into the universe, into the multiple verses, so across all timelines, it feels like, if not now, when? This really is the time that our species is looking at raising the consciousness and moving into a higher vibration. Many years ago, I heard in a meditation, evolve or become extinct.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that meant. I was just minding my own business, being a housewife in Southern California, and I hear that. But it really, I've been watching it, just being an observer and witnessing what's happening on the earth. And it seems, we're watching the end of duality. And sometimes it's not pretty, especially when it affects, our own personal identities. And that gives us the opportunity to do what we call our own inner work. I know you talk a lot about that, and many people on this circuit are talking about, this is the time to do our own work instead of judging and pointing fingers outside of us at other people. Or even just this weekend for the summer solstice, I went camping on the Kern River and went to the Sequoias with my family, my husband and my daughter and my daughter's friends. And, they're fascinated with this, but it hasn't really been their thing.
Yeah.
But I brought some crystals with me, and the girls were just so excited to learn more about what crystals do and how.
How old were they? How old were these girls?
They're all about 26 to 28.
Wow.
Yeah, 26 to 28. And so I brought some crystals and we planted them in the land of 100 giants at the Sequoias there. 3 of them went in water and 3 of them went in trees. And then I did a little peace pipe ceremony when the eclipse happened. And that was we had our feet in the water in the Kern River. So water amplifies energy. And that's, that's been my main work, is doing work with the dolphins on the water, on the ocean, by bringing people together, unifying our hearts and seeing the oneness in each other. And boy, there's nothing like those dolphins coming in by the thousands, hundreds or thousands. There was a big megapod here in Southern California. And as soon as they come, everybody's in childlike joy. There's no story, there's no stress, there's no drama. We are just in pure joy. And one of the requirements to go on a boat with me, a private chartered catamaran, is that you don't bring your stress and your story with you on the boat. You leave it on the dock, and you share this energy with all life in every realm and dimension. Yeah. And it feels really good.
They're all here.
Yeah.
The whole multiverses are represented here one way or the other. It's pretty amazing. It really is. I got a little download the other night when I was just taking a walk, and they came in and said, once you know something, you don't have to necessarily understand how you got there anymore. Once you become aware and you know something and you know it in your field, now you can just move forward and utilize that stream in your moment by moment interactions, in the present moment. And I thought to myself, that makes a lot of sense. I don't have, because some of this information has been coming in so fast this year. I've heard a lot of people say, I don't even know what it is, but I don't have to. And it was kind of that kind of message. And then I thought, well, what if you expand that? I mean, we're really getting to a point where potentially we could have enough knowing frequency in the energetic field that the whole story, you mentioned stories a minute ago, that we don't even need to talk about the stories anymore.
That's the beauty of where we are. I noticed that when a lot of people first started coming on to what we call an awakening experience, we felt the need to talk about where we came from.
Mhm.
I don't know a person on earth that hasn't experienced some form of trauma in their life. It's part of the human experience as we're growing and we're evolving and we become curious. And once we become curious, it's time to leave the story behind because we're healing that. We're healing that part of us and we're moving into the next level. I was telling somebody the other day that I don't think our work is ever done. I
Mm-mm.
don't think we're, if when we talk about evolving and being enlightened, and we had Craig Campobasso on the show last week on Awakening Code Radio. He's writing a book called The Extraterrestrial Almanac, and he's talking about different beings that, a lot of people may not know that there's many different races out there. A lot of people talk about the Pleiadians and the Arcturians, and some people don't know about some of the different races as far as, they know about grays because they're portrayed in Hollywood, reptilians. The cover of the book is a female reptilian.
Yeah.
But we talk about that. And Craig also wrote, do you know who Craig Campobasso is?
No.
Amazing soul. He's a casting director in Hollywood. And he did the short film called A Stranger in the Pentagon about Valiant Thor. Oh. This beautiful being from Venus that landed here on Earth when President Eisenhower. I'm sure you've talked to Laura Eisenhower before.
Yeah, I've had her on a few times, but I remember that Valiant Thor, and I watched it on. I watched a couple of things on it, but I think there was one and I don't know if it was this gentleman's production or not, but it was like a documentary.
Yeah. He did a short. He had a lot of actors, portraying these beautiful beings that were on this ship. Wow. But he's writing this other book that's coming out in January, and he'll be a part of the Harmonic Convergence 2020. Mark Sims, he had a profound experience, as I know it, the way that I've heard it. And I can't wait to hear more tomorrow when he's on our show. But he had a profound experience at one of Stephen Greer's CE5 workshops. And he got in communication with a being named, I think his name is Tejbar, and got all sorts of information downloaded to him. And he said he used to be an atheist, and that changed totally changed his mindset, changed his life. He became a very kind human being and really cares about everybody unifying. And this harmonic convergence download came through, and he was given 13 songs to remix and put out there. So he did put a video out, I think, a couple weeks ago called Peace is the Word. And it's a remake of the Bee Gees song, I think. So he's Craig Campobasso is a part of that as well. Right on. As well as a bunch of our friends.
So I didn't realize. Now, what's the name of the radio program?
Awakening Code Radio.
That's right, Awakening Code Radio. And I didn't realize it had been around that long. I didn't realize Eric had been doing it that long. So he's been, because I've talked to Eric a couple of times, but most of what we talked about was the sonic geometry. He's a fascinating dude. I love, they both of them they're so cool. They're so authentic and real, but now, so how often do you guys broadcast, and is it an internet radio or is it a FM radio?
The beauty of it is it's on KXFM, which is an FM radio station out of Laguna Beach, right on Pacific Coast Highway, very close to where you stayed when you stayed at Eric's apartment. And we have podcasts on many different platforms: Spreaker, iTunes, iHeart, and a lot of podcasting companies have picked it up, and I didn't even know about it. Right. We have quite a few listeners. We're the top show on KXFM. And when it started, Eric was kind of new on his journey.
But this would have been going back 10 plus years, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I met Eric when he called me the Queen of the Whack Pack.
Yeah, the Queen of the Whack Pack. That sounds like Eric, something Eric would say.
He was
a term of endearment.
Yes. He was not into any of this stuff. And one of the things he said to me is, you know what I love about you, Michelle? You laugh at yourself with everybody who's laughing at you when you talk about orbs and other beings, and he would roll his eyes super dramatically. And I said, of course, I don't have a need to be right about it. It's just my personal truth. And I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to hold back my experiences. It sounds crazy. I mean, I remember when I started getting messages from dolphins and whales to get people on the water, since it's a conductor of energy, and to unite us in the purity of that love stream, just to be like children, but to share it. The key was, be willing to share your joy. And Eric started going with me on those boat trips. And, little by little, he started realizing there's more to this. And then, we just had a show a couple weeks ago. And during the quarantine, we were not allowed to broadcast from KXFM. So he was broadcasting from his closet. And you can tell I have echo here. This is my bedroom, and I made a kind of a makeshift studio in my bedroom to be able to do Zoom calls. But since we have such high ceilings in my bedroom, it didn't sound that great on our podcast. So I went into my closet. Eric went into his closet. We just recorded our voices over Zoom. And I said, here we are both in the closet. Now Eric's coming out of the closet. And he started channeling. So we had it. So now our listeners, jokingly refer to, you were both in your closet, but Eric was coming out of the closet with his channeling. And I said, oh yeah, that was a very pivotal show for him. He was a little bit nervous. And
so when did he start channeling? Just recently?
He does not reference it that way.
Well,
he's getting more comfortable with the term, I would think we could say. But
the words,
the sonic geometry came through as a channel. He was getting. I think we're all, when we say we're getting a download, isn't that a channel?
Yeah, I mean, the semantics, we get caught up in all that, but I think that's another part of the story we can leave behind. When did this happen to you? I mean, you said you mentioned orbs, and you mentioned the whales and the dolphins talking to you. I mean, like, when did this happen for you? Was it like in the 90s?
No, it was 2006.
2006.
Yeah, 2006.
So you were married, doing the whole normal thing. And then
totally, I still am. I'm with my husband. We've been together 31 years.
Wow, that's fascinating to consider a couple together that long who've actually gone into this transformation together. That's a lot.
I wouldn't say we've gone into it together.
No,
it's my journey. And my husband has been very supportive of my journey. It doesn't mean it hasn't come with a lot of ups and downs. But he's from New Orleans originally. And
he'd be open to diversity then.
Yeah, I think sometimes he thinks it's kind of weird, but he also sees the magic in it when he sees how synchronicity works. When we go to the time of no time and we leave behind the structure of time, that's where the magic happens. That's where it's at. And even just this weekend, it was a Father's Day weekend. Everybody wants to get out and be camping. And I said, okay, we were on the Kern River. It was about an hour's drive to go to the land of 100 giants, to the sequoias. And I said, you know what? It'll be cooler there because they shade us. And these sequoia trees are all about unity. And I couldn't think of a better place to be on the summer solstice than with the sequoia trees. So, and I really feel in my heart, what we do is we weave energy with all our brothers and sisters who are in different points. And I see it as we're all points of light doing this work of spreading joy and love and whatever vibrations are helping to raise the vibration on the planet, while we're witnessing a lot of chaos and duality in the 3D land. We can just embody 5D principles, even in this, in this setting. Like I wouldn't say, my daughter and her friends, they're curious. Some of them are getting into yoga. They're getting into healthier foods. They're still what would I say about that? Some of them are still partying like
Yeah.
20-year-olds do.
Yeah.
And it's okay. That's where everyone's at right now. And so when we went there, I just felt like I was weaving with Eric and Jen were in Sedona, and our friend Yolanda just did. Do you know Yolanda Curtis? She moved to Sedona while I think you were still there. But I hooked her up with my friend Shun Williams, who started, this was his first New World Peace Talks. He's a beautiful, benevolent Black man who has a very powerful voice and vision for what's going on right now. And so he did his first New World Peace Talks in Sedona with, the group of friends that were in Sedona. And Jose Munoz, our Mayan Galactic Daykeeper brother, he was in Mount Shasta. You're in Arkansas. I was with the Sequoias. We're all weaving these energies from wherever we are. And whether we're on this path of awakening or not, I think there's something to be said for entrainment.
Yeah.
And entrainment is when those of us who have gotten these messages or downloads that it is really time to unify and focus on pure love, divine love, and what we do with that and what that looks like.
Yeah.
If someone's not there and doesn't have that vision yet, they're getting it through other people that are embodying it and radiating that out.
Yeah, I think that's that's coming to the forefront now. I think I love that you use that term, the story, and here we go again. I mean, it's like because I look at, especially this month, now you see different highs and lows, and you can see the energies in social media, like when I'm looking for stuff to put in the Solargy group, and you pick up on the energy. And then there was this period this past month where people are like, hey, if you don't agree with this, delete yourself right now. Delete yourself off my friends list. And, vaccines, Trump, Q, all these different things. And I thought, wow, what is that? That's interesting. And but I saw people pull back pretty quick, catch themselves. And but I guess what I was getting at is, and this is one reason I love to read Jinjin stuff. It's like, hey, if you're looking over there, if you're not walking on water, I don't think anybody really is serving themselves or the collective by looking over there. We still have work to do. Like you said, it never really ends. But to your point, the best contribution we can make is to continue to raise our frequency, and only we know how to do that for ourselves. And that does affect our brothers and sisters.
If peace is an inside job, who said that? When I think about how important it is for us to do our own inner work instead of looking at everybody else and saying you're not doing the work. It's ever evolving as far as this inner work goes.
Yeah, if you're putting it, I think sometimes I think, I wonder if, we are looking down on us and just laughing and saying, they don't realize everyone's beating at the same vibration. It just doesn't look that way because of all their conditioning and all the lenses they have over their eyes, But yeah, it is. I think it's very important right now to reemphasize that it is an inside job, because we all want to help. And, we all want to do that, but we've, marched and protested and boycotted and, had all these other methods of, nonviolent, demonstration and this and that. But the fact is, we don't have to do that. We are full blown, 100% made in the image. We're pure energy. We're transformers. And, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And that message, I think, is getting clearer and clearer for people this year.
It seems like it. I did feel a lot of the angst that's coming out of people being divided even further. If you look at opinions and belief systems regarding vaccines, viruses, mask wearing, Q. Yeah. And even this weekend with my daughter and her friends, two of the men we were in a conversation, and my question to them is, why is our need to be right so important? Why do we feel we have to be right about our opinion or our belief? Because clearly everybody on this camping trip had different levels of their own belief system going on. And yet what I felt was important was that we were modeling how we can all have different beliefs, not get angry, not get accusatory, still love each other, and realize it's okay if we don't believe the same thing. We can agree to disagree. I don't want to shove my stuff down their throat if they don't want to hear it. And I really don't want some of their stuff shoved down my throat. I'm open to hearing it because I want to hear all the perspectives. And, I don't want to be so firmly fixed in my belief system that I can't expand and take on something new that maybe I didn't know about. So I think it's, being curious about where everyone's at is a healthy thing without emitting or transmitting anger, judgment, blame, shame, any of those vibrations that keep us stuck, that keep us in this lower density vibration. It's time to raise that up by coming into acceptance and coming into the frequency of joy and harmony. And I love how Jose Munoz always says galactic harmony. I feel like galactic harmony is where we're reaching towards. It's not just about Earth anymore.
No, we're sitting here talking about nationalism and borders and and I'm going, wait a minute, what are you talking about? This is, to me, the meat of it right here is what he says, and what you're saying. Look, we're universal seeds. I think we know enough about the story. There's been enough people pull in downloads or channel, whatever you want to call it, to tell the story of Earth, of the great Mother Earth, and we are universal seeds. And I remember, back in the original studio, like in 2014, 2015, I remember getting downloaded a lot about, I guess, what you would call the Orion Wars, the Galactic Wars, and all this. But one of the things that came out of it was they said to me, you guys are like, that's why I was like, we showed up to Human as a Hero. We, just for that reason, just because we showed up, we didn't know what we were getting into. But at the end of the day, or the end of the mission, we have all the universal seeds. We've got the elementals, the galactics, the angel, we got everything. And what they explained to me is that when this trip was over, that we would be like universal healers. We'd be able to go into any quadrant of the multiverse because of our physical or our DNA or energetic makeup, having all these we're mutts. We're universal mutts in the best sense of the word. But I agree with you, and I agree with him. It's, this is why I don't dip into a lot of the Q stuff and the Trump stuff and the America this and that. I don't see it that way. I am a global citizen, and that's just part of it. I am actually a universal citizen. We all are. But right now, Earth seems to be the opportunity for us to elevate and expand this universe in a way it's never been done before. And this is what we came for. We are in the game now. It's not coming.
That's such a great way to put it. We're in the game. It's not coming. It's not. It's here. I wrote to someone the other day, game on. Game is on.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we have to be competitive. It doesn't mean that we have to.
You mentioned that earlier. I love it, and I had a thought on it real quick. But you said, to be able to do these things without competition. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the masculine and the feminine, and rightfully so. I'm more comfortable with saying patriarchal. The patriarchal paradigm or the patriarchal programming, because it affects the male and the female incarnates, one way or the other. They have different characteristics as a result of the conditioning. But the fact is, there is no competition. We were talking about on the last show, the woman, the feminine energy flows and it moves, and and as Morgan's taught me, the masculine's rigid and right angles, and but we need that. We need that creativity. We need that flow. We need that, what else, what else can you call it? I mean, it is pure creation seed. That's what it is. And the patriarchal kind of blocks it. Like, oh, we got to control this, and we got to do this, and you have to do that, and have to have this policy and this law and this methodology. And no, the feminine energy to me has always been right. Like, you've got black, you've got white, and it's this gray in the middle, right? It's the abyss, it's the womb, it's where you get into that spot and you've got to create your way out. And I think that's where we're at.
It does feel like that. And it feels like a lot of people are realizing that when we come into balance with our masculine and feminine within ourselves, it creates a dynamic that all of us are remembering to use to propel us forward. Yeah. And it's a lot more loving and peaceful and kind, but it still gets things done.
Yeah.
We're still, I know that a lot of women that have been on their journey in this area have had a hard time using our voices. Yeah. And I know, me personally, to be on a radio show myself, or to even be here on camera, I've always had a hard time being on camera. I get nervous, even on the radio show still. People don't think when I'm emceeing a conference or when I'm on the radio show, they don't realize how nervous I actually get. But I do. And I think, that's something that the feminine has really been working towards balancing out, to leave that behind, because that's an old story.
Yeah, it's and time.
Now we're coming into this.
Yeah. And that's, one of the things that, Soulology presented itself to Morgan and I in 2018 in a pretty big way, as a third energy, as the third energy, or one representation of it, and explained to us that, Soulology is the voices of the Mother Goddess, the voices of the feminine, in all of us, that part of us that, like you were talking about, that non-competitive, or if you look at the indigenous, and you look at the, the primitive, the primitive cultures, the grandmothers ran the roost, man. I mean, it was like, hey, even the Native Americans, they had the council of the grandmothers. I mean, the men did a lot of stuff, but when it came down to, and I think the big reason for that, because look, a woman carries, well, I'll say a woman, the feminine energy, the mother cares for everything. So anything that's going to be instituted is going to serve the whole. Whereas that patriarchal thing, not to be confused with masculine, that's just my own thing, but is not. It's self-serving. And so we've got to support this energy. We've had the luxury in 2000 shows of a lot of women come out here for the very first time. And it's been fascinating to hear their stories of, I've been doing this for 10 years and 15 years and 20 years and 25 years. And the stories are very similar. They were in a marriage and they had to leave. Their higher self said, you got to go. And they end up being estranged from their family, and maybe living in a room in a relative's house. And I don't know how I made it, but I always seem to have enough money just to get by. And they were all doing grid work, and they were doing this, pulling down the sacred wisdom and just different functions. But many of them since the end of last year have said, when we hit them up, they'd be like, I knew this was coming. I'm being told we've got to step up now. And so for as much as it would behoove all of us for the masculine energy to support and promote and keep safe, this feminine coming out, they've also got to come out. I don't say got to, because I don't like need or got or have to. I always run when people say that, but it would behoove us all as they step up, and they will, and they are. And we need this. This is what we need, we really do.
And we need men like you that hold that sacred container for women to feel safe to use our voices. And I think you and Morgan have struck a beautiful balance in modeling that and bringing that forward, so that others can see what a divine union truly looks like, when two people come together on a mission to share this work, to share the work of Mother Goddess.
Yes.
And
That's right.
how you honor that benevolent energy and the purity of that energy that comes through with every show you do. I haven't watched every single one of your shows. I've seen bits and pieces here and there as we do our dance around each other.
Mm-hmm.
But just to get the flavor of what your dynamic is and how you bring out the wisdom from so many people that you talk with on these shows. These shows are very important for many people to connect with the different information that's coming out. Sometimes we use words that, people who might happen to catch this on YouTube, if they look at it on Facebook or YouTube. I have such diverse people on my Facebook page, where some people don't know words like Orion Wars or what is Anunnaki. A lot of people in my audience on Facebook are not familiar with that. I'm not, it was an interesting dynamic to come out. I feel like I came out to my husband and my daughter and my in-laws, my brothers, my family to, they kind of all looked at me like, what are you talking about?
So what happened? You were doing your thing, 2006, you're a mom, you're doing your career and the things that were normal. And then what happened? Did you have like a visitation?
It's so weird to even think about how it all comes down, how everybody gets.
But I mean, I guess because
I worked in a hospital. Yeah. I was a manager of a workers' comp department in a hospital, and I see that the aspects of my personality have been leading to this kind of work all along. I always wanted to be a mother. And when my husband and I got pregnant, we conceived on Valentine's Day, and our daughter was due on my actual 30th birthday. Wow. And when I had her, I didn't find out the sex of my child through an ultrasound. I said, no, I want to be surprised. And I didn't have any intuition. And my friends would all say to me, don't you have intuition if it's a boy or a girl? I said, I got nothing. Nothing's coming through. I don't know. And then I had a visit in our bed about 4:45 in the morning, and two angelic beings came on each side of me. And every time I tell this story, my husband says it's changed over the years. And I said, no, it hasn't. He just hasn't been paying attention because there's two separate stories. So I'll tell you both stories though. But this story was that I was not, normally you lay vertical in your bed, your head's on your pillow, your feet are straight. My head was on my pillow, but my feet were over on my husband's side of the bed. So I was at a weird angle in the bed. And these two angelic beings came on each side of me, and they were in my room. It was not a dream. They were in my room.
I believe you.
They did not use their mouth. They telepathed with me. That's right. And I was, sitting there like, how is it that I know what they're saying, but their mouths aren't moving? Yeah. And they said to me, I was having a girl child, and they told me her name was Nikki Lee, which was my name at birth 30 years before, because I was born on 11/5/63, and my baby was due on 11/5/93. Wow. And so up till that point, my husband and I were going to name our daughter Amber. If we had a daughter, it was Amber. A boy was Chase. We had already decided that. So after these beings told me I was having a girl child and to name her Nikki Lee, I, practically beat my husband awake, scared him, out of his skin, and said, babe, we're having a girl and her name's Nikki Lee. And Brian says to me, I thought we were naming a girl Amber. And I said, no way, dude. Like, these two angels were just here, and that's really when I got into angels. And I couldn't get enough of my fascination with angels took off. I started buying everything pink, and it was all girl-like. And my mom, who adopted me, and she adopted me when I was 3 weeks old. So I had the name Nikki Lee for 3 weeks before I got Michelle Renee. Wow. And my birth mother, when I met her, she told me that all the females in her family had names that began with M. Her name was Madeline. Her mother was Margaret, and her mother's mother was Martha. And Martha was killed in the Holocaust at Auschwitz. Wow. Actually, I think it might have been a different camp, but it was one of the serious, camps.
Wow.
And so I learned that, much later. I learned that right about the time of 9/11, because that's when I went to meet her in Boston, and our plane was supposed to go from Boston to New York, that first 8 a.m. flight on 8/11. And exactly a month later, that same flight we were supposed to be on is the one that didn't make it to New York. But my daughter fell and broke her arm there in Boston. And she said, oh man, now I don't get to go see the Statue of Liberty. And she was just in first grade at the time when that happened. And, I told her everything happens for a reason. But I was, coming into that around then. So even though I say 2006, I think I was still getting things before that because of 9/11.
Well,
My husband was actually supposed to be in the Twin
two
Towers
angelic
on 9/11.
beings, two of your angelic aspects come out of your body. I would say, you started about, and that's interesting too. You said
what
that about
happened in 2006 is I met Dr. Sharon Forrest, and she is, I don't know if you know who she is. She's a profound healer, a naturopath. She does a lot of healing work and Egyptian numerology workshops. She goes to Sedona a lot, but she took me to Peru. A lot of her work was in Peru, and she started a program in Peru called Path of the Heart, a nonprofit. And she was working with some children that she met she called them street children at the time. And they've since become like my brothers. I love these men. And I've watched them grow up, because I met them in 2006. And they toured our group, and it was the first time I ever caught an orb on. It was a regular camera at the time. I didn't have a cell phone or a camera on a cell phone, and I had never seen an orb before. And in this orb were many faces. One of them was predominantly the face of an Incan man, and he had a little hat on. And then there was a cat being in there. Another face that looked very ET-like. And all the people in the group were feeling energy and saying, don't you feel it? Do you feel the energy? And I had tears running down my face. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie and say I feel it. I don't feel it. I didn't feel as special as they were, because they were feeling this energy. And I thought, am I broken? What's wrong with me? But I was the one that caught the orb on the camera. And at that time, not very many people talked about orbs at that time. They became popular later. And the orbs started contacting me and telling me they wanted me to be a messenger for them. And the first time they came through was when I was driving on the freeway, and I could feel them in the car. And I said, you're here. I know you're here. I can feel you. And I, like you said, the body tingles happen, and it's almost like I felt like they were massaging my heart or something. And I started crying, and I said, what is it? Why are you here? And what do you want? And they basically telepathed to me that they wanted me to be a messenger and to share with people that they were here, and really what unity consciousness looks like, and that's why they showed so many beings in that same orb.
That's just
like my daughter used to be going like this when I would talk about it.
Right. Yeah, my kids would just turn me off totally. But so you're in this, let's just say, conventional lifestyle. This stuff starts happening. You're in a conventional, and I don't mean that in a bad way, marriage. And I've run across some people like this and ladies like this before, where the partner is not in the communities, but is there and supports it, like you were talking about. Does he ever feel like Brian? Is that his name, Brian?
Brian.
Does he ever feel like he's married to Bewitched? Does he ever feel like Darren?
It's so funny because he has a picture of me where he calls me Bewitched because I look a little bit like hers. Yeah, I think sometimes he does. But ironically, he was working for Nassim Harriman last year.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of our friends, he owns his own marketing agency, and he's chief marketing officer. He's in the executive, world. And Nassim, he worked for the Resonant Science Foundation. And, so he kind of crossed into my world a little bit, so he was seeing all these people that I knew that were like, brother and sister people to me, and meeting them all. And
he's in.
The
He's
funny
in.
thing, I'm telling you, Todd, the funny
He,
thing about it is Brian has many tattoos on his back. And
uh-huh.
when you look at his back, you see these two dragons in the shape of a heart
Oh my God.
making love on his back. You see, I think he's got a Viking. I think he's got, what else does he have on his back? He's got a unicorn. Um,
He's in.
he did the stained glass piece you see behind me.
Yeah.
The
Angel or mermaid.
it's a mermaid with a dolphin. He
That's
made that.
he
He's
made
a
that.
total Renaissance man. He's a total Renaissance
He's
man.
in. He's
He's
in.
I say to him all the time, you think you're not one of us, dude? It's
He's
just
in.
you're
He's
one of us. Yeah.
yeah, he's in. And you know, that's another
He's very powerful. He's a very strong
obviously,
man.
I mean, you know, like begets
Mhm.
like, you know. I used to
Thanks.
look at Morgan when I met Morgan and some of the stuff that, you know, she was pulling in. I never doubted it. I jumped right in with both feet, but I'd look at her sometimes and go, how am I going to keep up with that? You know, and I'm always been fairly confident, you know, but of course the ascension will wear you out pretty good.
Mhm.
But then I'd say to
He
myself,
grounds me though. That's one of the
yeah,
things that I love about my
yeah,
husband is that he's very grounded. And yeah, sometimes he's out there getting really passionate about, certain things that come across his, come in his field, and he gets a little bit undone about certain things that he's hearing or seeing or witnessing. But I think there's something to be said for the way that we can balance each other out.
absolutely. That's what it's all
And
about.
we're
And
doing that dance. We're doing
that's
that
you
dance.
are. And so, you know, for some people or couples, you know, we know we're not just the physical. We know that we're always multidimensional, and especially in the dream state, which has gotten really
Mhm.
interesting, I think, this year, especially the last few weeks. But I mean, we don't see the whole picture just from the human eyes. You know, there's
Mhm.
more to it, and I guarantee you, on the other side, he's right there. He's a ringleader, and he just chose to, you know, be, you know,
There's it is an interesting dance. It's not without its challenges for sure. We've definitely had to face some really big challenges in our relationship because of it. And in 2012, I was taking a group to Mount Shasta for the Venus transit, and I had a really strong, powerful, I guess you'd say, message download that I had to be there for the Venus transit. In 2011, I took a group of people. At the time, I had a partner, Sarah Wellborn. She's an amazing grid worker, amazing healer, and her beloved partner, husband Jacob. I married them on Kauai on Valentine's Day a few years ago, and we led a group or facilitated a group for 11-11-11 in Peru, and Brian did not go with me on that trip, and it was tough. We were butting heads about it. He was having a hard time with this
mm,
path that was pulling me in, and he felt like it was my everything. And he's like, well, what about your family? What about us? And his favorite word, especially when we go on the boat and I ask everybody to put one word into the circle about what they wish to see for themselves or the community or life on earth or the cosmos. And his word a lot of times is balance. He
yeah,
uses that word a lot. And
yeah,
so he will constantly be a reminder to me um, to be a bridge with that
yeah.
balance. And then we led a group again, or we facilitated a group again in 2012. And Brian went with me, went with us to Mount Shasta. He went with us to Peru in 2012. And uh,
He's
so
in. He's in.
he's
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 just
holding down the fort in a strong way,
well,
I
and
would
you
I would
know, and
say.
I think there's a lot to be said for, you know, because the whole world isn't going to become a light worker community. You know, there's a lot
Mhm.
of different faces to the same energy that have the same dynamics and makeup, but there's a lot to be said for a masculine energy that can do that. Because one of the things that I've learned in my 5 years with Morgan, and about myself, and about what it truly is to you know, because I was born a man for a reason, right? I mean, in this incarnation, at this pivotal
Mhm.
time, and that is, I think, to be able to. It's a lot of words, but to allow her, to accept her, to love her, obviously support and all that. but because that feminine energy that's back now, and it's not going to be stopped. It's like a fire hydrant, like a fire hose now, and it's just going to get bigger. Is not straight lines. It's it's changes. It can be mercurial. It can be a lot of things. And truly, and I say this in the highest compliment, the womb is a chaotic energy. The abyss is a chaotic energy. It's it's uncertainty. It's darkness. It's the Bible didn't say let there be darkness. It said let there be light. Well, if it said let there be light, what was there? So this is where it's all created. But for a masculine energy to be able to hold that space in the pure sense of that phrase is a phenomenal imprint onto this grid. And I'm sure there's many men out there doing it and not getting the credit, and that may not be conscious of it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I can feel them.
I've been contacted by a lot of women who, like you said earlier, were in conventional marriages and left and went off on their own and wanted to pursue their mission. And that definitely was in the field for a while. Yeah. Between us. Our love is so deep. We've been talking about it a lot lately because we faced some choice points in our relationship. And we've really been working hard in the last 6 months at really trying to figure this out and hold space for each other so that we can both pursue our passions without feeling like we're bound to
losing something,
losing a piece of ourselves.
Sovereignty. And I have to just give you huge props, both of you, because 30 years period, it doesn't even matter what time period it's in, but in this time period, and for you to say something like in the last 6 months, well, we're 6 months into this year, and this is, for every bit of chaotic energy that's out there or perceived as being out there, however you want to look at it, to me, it's all opportunity. Like, I think this thing with the COVID and the quarantine, I mean, we designed this. How ingenious how much more of a genius could we be? I mean, this is amazing. Forcing people to be in self-introspection, forcing people to hang out with each other. You might be living with somebody for the last 20 years, a family member, never even had a conversation with them, but you have to be inside.
Oh boy. I mean?
But this is,
I've seen a lot of people talk about, after this is over, I'm divorcing. And, I kind of, for me personally, and I can only speak for myself in this, I think this has given us an opportunity to go within. And it's going to amplify whatever's going on within us. And it's brought a lot of stuff up. And why is it bringing that up? Is that something that we need to take a look at? And is that something that we can actually heal from? And I feel like I've been saying this a lot lately. If we truly want peace on earth, intergalactic peace, intergalactic harmony, if we want all of those things, where does it start? It has to start in each one of us, and then our closest relationships. Look at our closest relationships, the karma that we drew to us in this lifetime. And how do we get through that? I feel like rather than not facing it head on and just saying, okay, I'm going to move on to the next person. I've learned all my lessons from you and I'm going to move on to the next person. I don't want to go to the next person. I love this dude and I want to figure it out between us.
Right on, man.
And maybe that can help the collective as well if we're working on our stuff.
But that's it. That's Morgan always says a copy is a copy is a copy. So you see the same pattern everywhere, the same, say it's the triad or the Trinity. But, that's it. This is another thing that I'm looking at right now in myself, in the field. It's always myself first. It has to be. This is one thing we've learned. Okay. We know this, whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm. And that is building little bridges where you've had impasses, where you've had conflict, where you've had grudges and people did something they shouldn't have done, or you did something, you know what I mean? So in other words, we can't divorce ourselves from any aspect of the universe. So if you're not going to take care of it now and be part of its transformation, which is you're going to have to do it later. And
Oh, amen.
this energy that's here now, uh, you know, the mother energy is a lot of things. You know, when I was homeless on the street, I used to talk about, you know, sleeping on a park bench and trying to make sense of all this craziness that had happened in my life. And I'd be in her arms. Her arms. I would say that I'm in the arms of Mother. I'm cradled in the arms of Mother Universe. But one thing about Mother Universe, she has the original bullshit detector. You can't, you know what I mean? I mean, she is Callie, and this energy right now is not real supportive of you know, ignoring or putting something off. It's going to stick it right back in your face. And you know, the days of projecting, they're not going to be supported. I mean, it's all coming back. The pain's coming right back. So, you know, let go or be dragged. You know, do the work. To thine own self be true. You know, and like you,
Change or be challenged.
yeah, and like right, and like you said, Morgan's an energy worker, so I've been able to observe and be a client. You know, for quite some time when we first met, and even now at times. And what I know, what one of the things that I noticed in myself. Now, she told me, I didn't, not that I didn't believe her, but you got to experience things, right, to
Mm-hmm.
really get them. But when I started to really, you know, do the shadow work, do the conscious reprogramming that she teaches, I started to see the effects it had on the people around me. When I say the people around me, I don't mean it has to be in the geographic proximity. It could be my kid, you know, 6 states away, or an
Mm-hmm.
ex-spouse, or you know what I mean. But my father, my mother, I could see the change that was occurring, and that's when I really started to understand. Oh, well, this inside game thing is much deeper. It's like the greatest contribution you can make to the universe is taking yourself to a higher frequency, loving yourself more, being responsible, being self-reliant, being a co-creator and a collaborator that's consciously doing the for the highest and best for all, you know.
I like the way that you said the conscious patterning. And there are times that people are wanting me to be a part of their events. You know, I helped co-produce Disclosure Fest, the mass meditation initiative, which was supposed to happen on 6/20/2020. And we weren't allowed, we weren't able to do it then. It looks like we've now, the state parks in Los Angeles has given us permission to do it on 10/10. And we're still shooting for that date. Honoring the Galactic Goddess with Chief Golden Light Eagle and the Star Knowledge family was supposed to be on 4/4. We didn't get to have it on 4/4 in Laguna Beach. So there has been a lot of that kind of stuff that I've had to set aside. And I thought, wow, isn't it interesting that I'm always drawn to these events, the indigenous events, the uniting of all beings, anything that has to do with intergalactic peace and harmony. When I feel the purity of intent of an event, I know that I am drawn to that event and that I want to add my energy to that event. But at the same time, I have a family, and I am firmly rooted in believing that I'm still living in both worlds,
Yeah.
and doing my work so that we can have this sovereignty and freedom and what we're all looking
Yeah.
for. And I've talked about how the neurons fire in our brains. And my husband and I went to Harville Hendricks and his wife, Helen LaCayley Hunt. They do the work. The book is called Finding the Love You Want. I don't know if you know about this book, but he's been on Oprah like 17 times or something. And it's been, these people have been married 50 or 60 years. And wow, what we learned in Big Sur in just one weekend at Esalen and their workshop was really profound and powerful while we were trying to find our footing in a new way in our relationship and really recreating our relationship and finding that balance. But I have talked a lot about the programming and the way the neurons fire in our brain. And sometimes there is an opportunity for us to look at that and realize we can repattern that.
That's
that
right.
that was a program that was running,
That's
that
right.
we didn't even realize it had been running since we were a child or a teenager, when those original core wounds happened in our essence that we brought into our relationships. Because, you know, the emotional body is a powerful body. When we put emotion behind anything, wow.
You better believe it. I was crippled at 30, man. I couldn't walk for 12 years. Yeah, my back was bad. But, and I know this because obviously who I'm married to, my partner is. But you're right. You know, the conscious reprogramming. I mean, when I first got wind of it, because I walked the streets for 2 years, that was my way, you know, and I walked every step. I was, you know, like in a constant communion, and you know, I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it worked for me. So I cleared massive stuff, but it was really recent stuff. You know what I mean? It was, if you look at the linear part of it, when I met her and started to understand what you're saying, and then started to understand that it was maybe a little bit painful, but really not, going through the process of the modality or the exercises. It was a little mundane. It wasn't as fun as seeing Jesus in the trees, or an angel, you know, stopping to talk to me, or a spaceship over my head, you know, and some of the other things that might have happened. But the gold, the energetic transformation, the shifts you feel immediately, such as that weekend you're talking about, you know, when you dip into it at a very human level. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's like we get all this download, transmission, channelings, and it's really easy for, like you were telling the story about, you know, and I respect it, you know, women saying, okay, I've got to go do this. I've got to get out of this relationship because this is my mission. But, you know, Morgan told me for years, I asked her for 2 years, I'd ask her every 2 months, what do you mean by this? And she'd say, nothing matters until you embody it. Nothing matters till you embody it. So having all that information, having all these experiences, that's how this show started. You know, I used to do my own stuff, probably did a couple thousand videos. And then she's like, you know, it's not all about you. There's a bunch of women out there. There's a bunch of people out there. And, you know, you don't know till you know. And there is a way to know. And that is to have the desire to, like you said, to be open to things that you don't necessarily want shoved down your throat, but you'll look at it. It's good for you.
And my path is my path. My husband's path is his path. And I don't begrudge anybody, whatever they're going through, whatever they're doing. We all have to go where our heart leads us. And it's a conscious choice, you know. Right. That's the beauty of a free will universe.
Maybe we can get Brian and you to come on together.
Oh boy. At this point, I don't see it happening. I know. One of my friends said, you know, Brian, he's probably going to be teaching workshops with you someday. And I said something to him and he was like, no way.
Well, you know,
I think Brian would love to just be scuba diving in the ocean, or, you know, he's been working really hard on what he does. And I think he's ready to take a step back. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens.
So how can we, I'd love to get together with you again and again and again. You know, with whatever kind of collaborations, whether it's on this show or an event or whatever. I can't believe that it's all this time has gone by, because I'm telling you, I got a computer in the fall of 2013. Because before that, I just had a flip phone and I would just write, form Sology and write, you know, from the flip phone. I didn't have pictures or nothing. And
wow.
But I remember seeing you, and it had to be no later than 2014. I mean, and because when I saw you the other day, because I used to see you all the time, you know how when you go on and you'll see certain people because they're in the same, but I saw you, I don't know, you came back in the field like maybe 2-3 months ago. I thought, I know her. And then Scott's like, I know her. And then Eric's connected to you, and Jen. I'm like, oh my God, you know.
And Shakara, you had Shakara on your show. We were part of the Star Knowledge family together. I haven't talked to her in a long time through this whole thing. It's probably time for.
Yeah, I need to hook. I briefly, I'm really bad about communications, and now that Morgan's launched this thing, I'm back on my own again. So I'm trying to get some help, but anyway, so I'd love to collaborate with you and get together either virtually or physically or both or whatever.
And Jason and Heather, you need to mention them, because Jason and Heather, I know you've talked to them a lot too as well.
They are. We have a very special, mostly unspoken. We have done 3 or 4 shows, and we've had a couple of private, conversations with them on camera. But there is something, we've got a really powerful connection. I mean, I'm talking, when we lay down at night, we put our hands together, information comes in mostly through Morgan, doing the talking and receiving. I'm there. I see a lot of the stuff happening, but they're actually mentioned to us.
Oh, absolutely. They're part of my closest inner circle.
Is that right?
The powers of love. Yeah, they come to our house for Thanksgiving every year, almost every year for the last.
So where are you? Are you in LA? Where are you at?
I'm outside of. You went to Laguna Beach. My house is in a place called Coto de Casa. It's just inland a little ways from Laguna Beach.
Okay. So you're in Orange County.
Orange County, absolutely, yeah. Right before you get to San Juan Capistrano and
I lived
San
there.
Clemente, but inland.
I lived in San Juan Capistrano.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I lived there. I lived in Huntington Beach too.
And there's a lot going on there.
San Juan Capistrano is an incredible place. Yeah. I love that biker cowboy bar across from the church.
Swallows Inn. I was there on Saturday. I went on Sunday. We went on a week ago on Sunday. Yeah.
So how can we support you? And can you just kind of go over again when the radio show comes on, Awakening Code?
Our normal time is Tuesday nights 8 to 10. But since this whole big thing has been going on, the mayor has had our slot. So we're on Wednesday, 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific time right now. I don't know if it'll change back or what's going on. We need to talk to the station about that. There's a lot of stuff happening underneath there. My biggest thing that I would love for you to focus on, and because I'm all about collaboration, Todd, just like you are. So I would invite all of your viewers to tune into World Unity Week this week. And to tune into the Harmonic Convergence 10-day live broadcast beginning July 5th through the 14th. And that's a meditation for universal contact. So there's so many great people that are going to be a part of that. I don't know if you know our, Starseed family, Elijah Ray, Larissa Stowe. I mentioned Craig Campobasso. Do you know who Matthias Di Stefano is?
That dude is the shit nizzle, man.
That's right.
That's right.
I know. I agree.
I never watched anything. And about a week ago, I saw the season 2, episode 1 was on YouTube. I watched that. I thought, holy crap. And then I went into his whole archives, which was 1 season and then 3 this year. And so much of the stuff that he talked about was stuff that he got it much clearer, but that I got.
I always really feel that way too.
Me. It confused me when I got it. But to see him put it all together and articulate it the way he has, and his truth frequency is just right there. Yeah.
Right there. Yeah, total. I said the same thing when I saw him. So he's a part of this Harmonic Convergence event. Brian Forrester, Nassim Harriman, Chief Phil Lane Jr. They have Indigenous experts and leaders all throughout the program. My dear friend Gary Christmas and Michael Perlin, I think they're doing one of the songs. So they're taking 13 songs.
You're like the, what do you call that? You know everybody. You know everybody.
I feel like I know everybody just like you do. Yeah. When we walk in or when we see somebody, we see their soul. Yeah. We see their soul essence. I call it maybe the God seed, the soul essence. And we recognize each other through that frequency. Yeah. And so we're all popping awake, looking at each other and saying, oh my gosh. But now that we've all met and been in these circles for so many years, it's all culminating right now. So Adrian Valera, the founder of disclosurefest.org, he put on, did you get to go to Disclosure Fest last year? We had 20,000 people there. In Los Angeles, at Los Angeles State Historic Park. And
no, I wasn't there. I was in Ventura Beach when they had that one over there. I was there at the same time, and I
Mhm.
was going to go, but I didn't go. That was the
Well, Disclosure Fest, you know, Adrian's vision is the same as what you're seeing happening online right now is what Adrian has been, you know, the forefront of doing in person.
okay.
20,000 people. We had 16 stages on 32 acres last year on the summer solstice.
Wow.
Naka was our headliner. This year we're slated to have Dea Dova. She's a powerful grid worker from Australia. You must know her. If you don't know her, Todd, I highly recommend you get her on your show.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone,
hit me up and I'll supply you with a lot of names.
if you would, I would so appreciate it because. But I mean, we've got so many people that want to come on, and I'd love picking up these people that aren't known, that have been in the background, and watching them blossom. And but yeah, I definitely would. It fits. It works, and there's a reason that we're connecting now after all this time. But I've got
this
to.
Great window.
Yeah, we've got another show in 11 minutes. I'm just letting everybody know that we're going to push it back 5 minutes, and I really don't even want to get off, but you know, I guess I got to go on.
Thank you. I feel the same way, and I need to do the same thing. So, thank you so much. We'll connect again, and we'll have you on Awakening Code Radio.
Absolutely,
how about that?
I'd love to. Any collaboration you have in mind, don't be shy. Hit me up. And I just want to say thank you for your service to humanity, and thank you for sharing space and honoring us with your presence, and all blessings to you and Brian and your family.
Thank you so much. Mwah. Good talking with you. Peace.